The Pastor Who Hated Church. Follow Elvis Jung on his journey of redemption. Chapter 17. It was the day of the service on CyberLife, and Elvis was surprisingly nervous. The previous day and a half were spent scouring the Bible, looking for the appropriate passage for the service. It occurred to him that this would require a unique approach. These avatars may represent real people, but they aren't really people at all. They could look and act in any way they pleased. The virtual world gave them the license to be anything they wanted. In real life, they might be pimple-faced, overweight loners, but on CyberLife, they can create a character that's anything they want it to be. No one would ever know the truth. How do you speak the truth to people who are more interested in embracing a lie? Elvis logged in a couple minutes before the start of the service. Down the hallway, Chris was orchestrating the event flawlessly. The music she promised turned out to be a 30-voice choir. Even though they sang in virtual space, the effect was inspiring. Elvis could almost imagine being in a real cathedral, listening to the acoustics of a Baroque choir. The event was surprisingly well attended. The church was almost full. By his estimation, there were about 500 people present. The realization that each avatar was one person somewhere in the world marveled him. Elvis placed his headset microphone on his head and looked at his notes. Online, he could hear the voice of Chris's avatar, Ruby Tuesday. "I'm very pleased to introduce our virtual minister, Hopkins Presley." Hopkins stood and moved to the pulpit. "Please, if you're able, read with me the passage from John chapter 4. So he left Judea and returned to Galilee. He had to go through Samaria on the way. Eventually, he came to the Samaritan village of Sychar, near the field that Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there, and Jesus, tired from the long walk, sat wearily beside the well about noontime. Soon a Samaritan woman came to draw water, and Jesus said to her, "Please, give me a drink." He was alone at the time because his disciples had gone into the village to buy some food. The woman was surprised, for Jews refused to have anything to do with Samaritans. She said to Jesus, "You are a Jew and I'm a Samaritan woman. Why are you asking me for a drink?" Jesus replied, "If you only knew the gift God has for you and who you are speaking to, you would ask me and I would give you living water." "But sir, you don't have a rope or a bucket," she said, "and this well is very deep. Where would you get this living water? And besides, do you think you're greater than our ancestor Jacob, who gave us this well? How can you offer better water than he and his sons and his animals enjoyed?" Jesus replied, "Anyone who drinks this water will soon become thirsty again. But those who drink the water I give will never be thirsty again. It becomes a fresh, bubbling spring within them, giving them eternal life." "Please, sir," the woman said, "give me this water, then I'll never be thirsty again, and I won't have to come here to get water." "Go and get your husband," Jesus told her. "I do not have a husband," the woman replied. Jesus said, "You are right. You don't have a husband, for you have had 5 husbands, and you aren't even married to the man you're living with now. You certainly spoke the truth." "Sir," said the woman, "you must be a prophet. So tell me, why is it that you Jews insist that Jerusalem is the only place of worship, while we Samaritans claim it is here at Mount Gerizim, where our ancestors worshipped?" Jesus replied, "Believe me, dear woman, the time is coming when it will no longer matter whether you worship the Father on this mountain or in Jerusalem. You Samaritans know very little about the one you worship, while we Jews know all about him, for salvation comes through the Jews. But the time is coming, indeed it's here now, when true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. The Father is looking for those who will worship him in that way. For God is spirit, so those who worship him must worship in spirit and in truth." The woman said, "I know the Messiah is coming, the one who is called Christ. When he comes, he will explain everything to us." Then Jesus told her, "I am the Messiah." Just then, his disciples came back. They were shocked to find him talking to a woman, but none of them had the nerve to ask, "What do you want with her?" or "Why are you talking to her?" The woman left her water jar beside the well and ran back to the village, telling everyone, "Come and see a man who told me everything I ever did. Could he possibly be the Messiah?" So the people came streaming from the village to see him. This is an amazing encounter with Jesus. Here's a woman, an outcast, on several levels. She was an outcast because she was the wrong race. Jews and Samaritans hated each other. She was an outcast because she came to the well at the heat of the day. In that society, women came at the beginning of the day, before it was the hottest. She wasn't allowed to go until later. She was an outcast because she'd been married 5 times. She was an outcast because she didn't fit the religious standards of that day. She was an outcast in every sense of the word. Jesus wasn't turned off by any of these things. In fact, Jesus came to this place just so he could meet this woman. He did it so we could see what kind of lives he came to touch, to impact, to save. It's amazing to think that each of us might be outcasts. We've created masks to hide ourselves from each other, but Jesus sees behind the avatar to our true selves. That's the person Jesus came to know. That's the person Jesus wants to heal, but he can't heal us until we accept his approach. As he spoke, a man entered the cathedral wearing a white robe and purple sash. His hair was shoulder length and brown. He walked down the center aisle until he stood right before the pulpit. "May I help you?" asked Hopkins. "Actually, I'm here to help you. I'm Jesus Christ." Elvis sat up in his desk chair. "Excuse me? You've done well teaching these people about my love and acceptance. I've now come to show them my power." He raised his arms, and flashes of light blinded the virtual crowd. Suddenly, angels appeared and hovered over the Christ figure. They sang over and over, "Holy, holy, holy is the one who is the Son of God." Chaos broke out. Some people stood and left. Most lingered to view the spectacle. 2 other men entered the cathedral. One had his eyes covered with a kerchief. He was being led by the other man. Slowly they walked through the crowd and stood before the Christ figure. He looked at the blind man. "What would you like?" asked the Christ figure. "I would like to see," said the blind man. "Remove your bandana and see," said the Christ figure. The blind man removed his bandana. I can see! Praise Jesus! Come to cyberspace and save us," said the man. The crowd oohed and awed. "Come to me, all you who are weary, and I will give you rest," said Christ. Elvis ripped off his headset. "This isn't right," he said out loud. He ran down the hallway to Chris. "What's going on?" "It's amazing! Who'd have seen this? I think it's really Jesus Christ," said Chris. "It's a hacker. He's cracked the site and is messing with us," said Elvis. "Why do you say that? He seems like Christ. He performs miracles. Angels appear at his command. Seems legit to me," said Chris. "Are you crazy? It's a hacker. He's trying to make us look stupid." Chris looked at him in disbelief. "There's only one way to find out. Get back to your avatar and talk to him. See if he is who he says he is." Elvis couldn't believe what he was hearing. "This is all bogus, I'm telling you." "Then go and prove it. You're the theologian." Elvis stormed back down the hall to his office. Suddenly, he was hit with an idea. He slipped into Nick's office. "Nick, are you using your laptop?" "Yeah, why?" "I need it. I'll give it back to you in a second." Elvis snatched up the computer out from under him. He carried it into his office and logged into CyberLife. Humble Gus appeared at the doors to the cathedral. He entered to discover a large group of worshippers surrounding Christ. His other avatar, Hopkins Presley, stood frozen behind the pulpit. "Jesus!" called Gus. He had to fight through the crowd. More people were entering the cathedral. "Jesus!" The Christ figure turned toward Gus. "Yes, my child?" "Well, I don't know a lot about things, but I kind of have a question." "Yes?" "Well, why are you here?" asked Gus. "I'm here to help people," said Christ. "Help people do what? You gotta admit, it's kind of weird." "Why is it weird? Are you doubting me? Do you lack faith in me?" "It's just that you're not really supposed to be here." "Why not?" "Because you left. I mean in the real world. And an angel said you'd return in power to judge the world and take the faithful home to heaven. Did you come to judge the world?" "I think you lack understanding. I'm here to show people the way to me." "You already did that, remember? You said, 'I am the way and the truth and the life.' Why do you need to do it again?" "You're twisting the Bible to confuse these people. You lack faith, and you're using it to destroy the faith of others, said Jesus. What are you going to do? You can't judge me. You said it yourself, said Gus. Christ turned to Hopkins. Are you going to let this faithless one stand in my church? Hopkins remained still. Elvis was still acting through humble Gus. I'm here to perform miraculous signs so that you all might believe, said Christ. Are you going to die too? Asked Gus. I've already done that. Why would I do that again? So that I might believe, said Gus. I doubt you'd believe if I showed you the very gates of heaven, said Christ. Elvis ran back down the hall to Chris. Can you believe this? He said. Then don't just stand there, do something, said Chris. Like what? Asked Elvis. Defend Christ. You're letting that homeless freak make Jesus look bad. Why should I need to defend Christ? He should be able to defend himself. Kip joined them in Chris's office. He was wearing a headset. What's happening? Have you been watching? Some hacker's trying to mess up everything. Hacker? Said Kip, surprised. Kip, it's Christ. It's, what do they call it when Christ shows up unexpectedly? Asked Chris. Heresy, said Elvis. Theophany, said Kip. It's not a theophany, it's cyberspace, objected Elvis. Who's to say Christ can't enter the internet? I've never read anything in the Bible that says it can't happen, said Kip. What about his second coming as judge? What about Revelation? You know, Elvis, I think you're missing an opportunity here. Right or wrong, an avatar claiming to be Jesus Christ has joined our service. We could use this, said Kip. Chris nodded in agreement. Use this how? Asked Elvis. His frustration was palpable. He didn't go to any other religious group in cyber life. He came to ours. That must mean something, said Kip. It means some hackers having a laugh at our expense. No, the publicity's great for our group. We can use this to help boost our family reunions. We tell the story of how Jesus came to our service. It doesn't matter if it's really him. What matters is that people will talk about it, said Kip. There's no such thing as bad publicity, added Chris. That doesn't make any sense, said Elvis. Why not? It's brilliant, said Kip. Brilliant, like being in trouble with the police? Asked Elvis. But the media will be all over this. It's amazing. Tell me you didn't love the cameras and the attention, said Kip. No, I didn't. It was a distraction, said Elvis. It wasn't that bad. Some of the media were really supportive, and look at the response. Attendance at our family reunions have nearly doubled. The jam worship sessions are packed, not to mention the video. It's a smash hit. We've had over 1 million views. Name another church that's had that kind of success, said Kip. Is that what we're supposed to be about? Is that real ministry? Of course it is. It's just something that hasn't been done before. Don't worry, trust me. Now get back online and welcome Jesus to our church, said Kip. Elvis went back online. Christ was teaching the people in the cathedral. The crowd had doubled in size. The key to everything is love. That's why I came, to show you the way of love, he said. Is love enough? Asked Hopkins. All you need is love, said Christ. Sure, if you're one of the Beatles, said Hopkins. I am not the only source of truth. Many have spoken my truth. Gandhi, Nietzsche, Muhammad, King Jr., the Beatles. Many have spoken in my name, said Christ. What concerns me is that you're so willing to sell your truth so flippantly, said Hopkins. What are you suggesting? Asked Christ. The Beatles, for instance, said God was dead. How can they talk of your love in one moment, then claim your death? It doesn't make sense, said Hopkins. I've said many things that have caused confusion, said Christ. Do you have an example? The crowd was getting excited by the exchange. You may remember I told a crowd of people that unless they eat my flesh and drink my blood, they have no part with me. Elvis wondered if it was possible for Christ to look smug. If it was, then he was doing it right now. The crowd murmured loudly. A few kneeled before Christ. It seems I have a history of difficult sayings, said Christ. Yes, but every time you do it's to be exclusive, not inclusive, said Hopkins. What are you saying? Asked Christ. When Jesus gave the Bible a difficult teaching, it was to shatter the misconceptions of those around him. He never uttered pop theology. The difficult teaching differentiated himself from other religions and philosophies. All truth may be God's truth, but not all who claim to speak for God actually do, said Hopkins. What difference does it make who says the truth? Asked Christ. That's a good question. Remember when Jesus was tempted? Asked Hopkins. Of course, I was there, said Christ. Then you remember that the tempter spoke truth, but he manipulated it to serve his purposes. Truth can never be divorced from the one who speaks it. Jesus didn't claim that he told the truth. Jesus said that he was the truth. There's a huge difference between the two, said Hopkins. The debate with Christ was heating up. That's just semantics, said Christ. How can you say that? You claim they're your words. How can you now say the opposite? Are you the Son of God or aren't you? If you flip-flop on important things like this, then how can anyone believe anything you say? You're destroying your own credibility, said Hopkins. Christ stared intently at Hopkins. Everyone else focused on what Christ would say next. Even in cyberspace, the moment was tense. Obviously, you lack the faith to understand my message. I dust off my feet and reject this place. May your eyes always be closed and your heart forever hardened to the truth, said Christ as he shook each foot in turn. He even appeared to spit on the ground. Ruby Tuesday reached out to Christ. Please, stay! Don't go! It was too late. Christ was gone. Ruby turned on Hopkins. Have you lost your mind? Hopkins didn't respond. Elvis had already logged off. This is stupid, he said as he slammed his headset on the desk. He could already hear Chris yelling from her office. Elvis, what have you done? She screamed. Kip joined her in the hallway, and they double-teamed Elvis. I was watching that. How could you do that to Jesus Christ? Said Kip. For the last time, he was not Jesus Christ. He was a hacker. He was just trying to hurt what we're doing, said Elvis. Kip and Chris looked at each other as though they knew something Elvis didn't. What? Said Elvis. Chris shook her head. Do whatever you want. It's pretty much ruined anyway, she said. Elvis, I'm Jesus Christ, said Kip. Elvis glared at Kip. You better be talking about an avatar. Yes, in cyber life. I was Jesus Christ. You weren't supposed to rip me to shreds in front of all those people. You ruined everything. Oh, and that reminds me, I still have followers. Can you go to my office and control my avatar, Mum? Thanks, said Kip. Chris left Kip and Elvis behind. Elvis looked at Kip in utter disbelief. What were you trying to do? It's marketing. It's how we build our church, explained Kip with a smile. I thought churches were being built by teaching the real Christ, stated Elvis. Kip laughed. That's so old school. That's not how the world works anymore. People are sophisticated. They're not interested in how churches used to work. I thought you learned that at Evergreen, man. It's great that they do what they do, but they don't reach the younger generation. They're used to being marketed to. They want to experience something that isn't traditional. That's why we're so innovative, so sensational. We embrace new media and unorthodox strategies to reach people. So we do things just because they haven't been done before? Asked Elvis. In some cases, yeah. That's why we put Jesus Christ into the virtual table. People want that experience, explained Kip. But your teaching, what was that? It was absolute schlock. It was nothing more than pop psychology, said Elvis. Yes, but it's what attracts people. If we can get them into our church, we can teach them the truth later. But that'll never happen unless we get them here in the first place. I promise you this, people will visit the virtual table next week, man. They'll want to see what happens next, and we'll give them what they want, said Kip. What am I supposed to do? Play along? Elvis glanced at his computer. Christ led a large group of people to an open space. It looked like Chris was teaching the crowd. Exactly. We'll be the hit of cyberspace. Our brand will stand out. Just imagine it, man. We're building something great here. I can't do that. I can't teach something that just isn't right, said Elvis. Why not? Your theological mentor was an open theist. He's a heretic, man. Dr. Hopkins came up with his theology to appeal to a wider circle. Yeah, but he never sacrificed the Bible to create his theology. He always maintained that his theology was consistent with Scripture. He didn't sacrifice the Bible for the sake of his ideas. Whether he was successful depends on your interpretation of Scripture.
Semantics, man. That's all you're doing,
said Kip. Why is that what people say every time they don't have a proper argument? It's so frustrating.
It's true. I've just interpreted the Bible differently than you,
said Kip. But it has to be consistent. Just because you have a different interpretation doesn't make it right. That's like saying, I read the stop sign, but interpreted it differently than you. You say it means stop. I think it means pick my nose. It's ridiculous, said Elvis. Kip laughed.
You never lose your sense of humor. I love that about you. No matter what, keep it light.
Elvis didn't know how to respond. Thanks.
No problem, man. I'll tell you what, today was very cool. I had a blast. Not only did we hit 1 million views of our first video, we made a splash in cyber life. At this rate, we'll have the most influential church in the country.
What does that mean exactly?
What, you mean influential? It's how we transform ministry and make it relevant. But we can't be afraid of trying new things. That's what it means. The more we innovate, the more we become leaders in the new ministries. There are leaders in the church, and there are followers. You may think it's okay to be a follower, but that's not the vision I have for this church or my ministry. I love being surrounded by creative people. I love the energy they bring to the table,
said Kip. Elvis felt like his eyes were glazed over. He wanted to say something, but he was too confused and tired. I need to sit down, he said.
I hear you. You're still getting back into the swing, and you're beat. It's been a crazy day, man. Go take a load off,
said Kip. Elvis sat in his office and surfed the web. He went onto YouTube to see Sparrow's video. He wanted to see it when no one else was around. Nick did a great job, he thought to himself. It was as polished as anything he saw online. Apparently, he wasn't the only one who thought so. The video had 1,250,000 views and counting. It was the kind of success that Kip loved. It also meant the pressure was on to duplicate the success. A one-hit wonder is great, but that doesn't build influence. He grabbed the phone and called Sparrow. Hi, Sparrow. It's Elvis. I'm feeling all right. Listen, have you seen your music video? Yeah, I think so too. Nick's amazing. I have a question. Yep, you got it. What should we do next? My hands, my heart, my all? I don't think I know that one. Is it upbeat? I think we should do something catchy. It is? Great. Do you think we can sit down sometime and work on it? Sounds good. Should Nick be there too? Oh, okay. Do you want me to meet you there? Okay. See you in a couple of hours. Bye. Elvis hung up the phone and looked through his calendar. In a couple of hours, he planned to meet Sparrow at the Common Grounds Coffee House. He liked the change of scenery. The Tables Coffee House felt more like a circus than a place to relax. He also looked forward to spending some time with Sparrow without the disapproving eyes of Chris. In the meantime, Elvis went home to take a nap. Thank you for listening to The Pastor Who Hated Church, written by Timothy G.A. Cooper, narrated by Greg Cooper. Tune in next week to hear the next chapter in Elvis Jung's Tale of Redemption.